Hello and welcome to City Trekker. My name's Adam, and today we're going to have a special interview with the founder of Alpha 19er, Helmie Ashiblie. Let's get into it. So we're here with Helmie Ashiblie, and the founder of Alpha 19er, and I know you started the company in 2013, launched your first product the next year. Can you talk a little bit about just the journey leading up to that point?
I think you got your facts better than I do. I think it was 2014 or 2013. So what I wanted to do was actually just launch some products that I felt that someone like myself, the long haul traveler, because I commute back and forth Asia all the time, Europe too. So we decided to, I sat down with my wife and I said, I want to do something that's going to be able to kind of assist with that long trip. And that was for the iPad, right? So I decided to do an iPad Caddy, and that was the first product for Alpha 19er. We launched it on Kickstarter. You hear all this drama about Kickstarter, how difficult it is and blah, blah, blah. But I'm thinking to myself, I've been through this rodeo before. When we started some of the products from the parent group, SERT, back in 2003, we were really crowdsourcing on some of the forums online. And we knew back then what you can or cannot do. There's limitations to what you can. So I said, I think we can handle this. Furthermore, we control the production. That's critical right there. If you depend on the production of any of your products through someone else, I hate to say this, it's like taking a number and staying in line. But we control, it's our production studio, and we can control what we need to produce. So we decided, all right, let's launch the Caddy. The Caddy launched. I met my goal. I think the goal was pretty small. It was like $10,000 or $20,000. I can't remember.
Okay.
And the most critical part of Kickstarter is to be able to maintain the updates, make sure everybody knows what the heck is going on, and make sure that you deliver as promised. We got that done, and we started having a following, because the moment Alpha 19er's website popped up and we had all these other accessories, the guys and girls from Kickstarter came on board and started buying other stuff. So we had a lot of upsell after that. And it took off from there. And the next big thing, we did backpacks, duffels, totes, nothing until the Evade, the original Evade, the Recon 9 came up, and that just took Alpha 19 in a whole different direction.
So can you talk some about the process with the Evade? Because I know you took a lot of feedback from users and were on online forums talking about it. Can you talk about just the development phase of developing, putting together the Evade?
When you're looking at product development, right from the top, there are people who consider themselves designers. I am not a designer. Listen, I failed my art class when I was 8 years old. I'm artistically handicapped. That's the bottom line. But what I am is my background has always been in the fashion industry, for the most part of it. And product development is my forte. So I said, all right, there are a lot more smarter folks out there who knows backpacks and products and all the stuff. So why not crowdsource it? So I met the online, of course. I met the owner for the original EDCF. Well, the EDCF is still the same EDCF, except for the original owner, he's no longer there. Met him and I said, hey man, here's the deal. I've got a whole bunch of backpacks I just did for a contract, a laugh over. There's about 100 packs. Can we just kind of, put a patch over the current logo, just make it a Velcro patch, and I'll sell it to your guys, and you can make some money out of it so we can finance a group. And from there, it just kind of took off. Everyone's asking, so what else can we do? And I says, why not crowdsource a backpack that you guys want to see? But there's a caveat to it though. The golden number for me has always been 70%. You can only, well, at least for us anyway, you can only get in about 70% of what everybody wants. You can never, we all know that. You can never satisfy everybody's needs. So 10 line items came in, and we could hit 7 of those. And then from the EDCF, there were a lot of it breached to the TPP, right? So the EDCF was the first one, but a lot of guys who are guys and gals who are on EDCF that are also on TPP. And the next thing you know, it's people call up and said, I got to give credit to two guys, Blaine and Nathan. Blaine was the first one that came up and said, "Hey, can I review one of your backpacks?" And from there, the guys from TPP came on board. Then Nathan got excited about it, and it just took off from there. But the bottom line was, it was always crowdsourced. Now, crowdsourcing is never easy. I mean, Kickstarter is a perfect example. What can go wrong will go wrong, yeah? But there are controls that you have to put in place. You have to be realistic about it. Number one, don't beat around the bush. Get straight to the point. If there's going to be a problem, let everybody know. No one else, you should never assume that anybody is stupid. Never, right? Everybody who's buying a backpack, if you look at the credentials of this guy, some of these guys have got like, I know one guy who's got degrees up the wazoo. I mean, he's super intelligent. And you don't want to be fooling around this kind of guys. Tell them exactly what is it that you're doing. Set the parameters, what can or cannot be. If someone comes up and says, "Oh, you got to do this, it's going to be a great idea," I said, "Dude, I'm going to be frank with you. We can't include that. That's going to be hard." But if 70% of them provide, if 100% of them provide all the ideas, and you can include 70% of them and says, "This is what you are going to get," by the time the backpack comes out, you've already set the standard for it. And the other thing is, I'm very big on this. A lot of the guys on EDCF and TPP knows this. I never want to take anybody's money up front. Never, never, never. I don't like that idea. And to be honest, for selfish reasons. Because if I don't take your money, you can't nag on me, right? Simple as that. Because I said, listen, here's the pre-order. Place your orders. Don't give me any money. When the time comes, 2 weeks before we're about to deliver, I'm going to send everybody's invoices out. That's fair trade right there. And I didn't realize there was going to be some positive outcomes from that. Because once, to paraphrase someone who said, Alpha 1 they must be financially stable because they can afford to produce it without anybody's money. And that gives some sort of an assurance. But it's not Alpha 1 it's really the parent group SERT that controls the production. We have the fabrics, we have the employees, the sewers, everything, the materials, so it's easy for us to get it done. But crowdsourcing is never easy. We've done it a couple of times. Do we want to do it all the time? That's 50-50. It's tough because you have to be on top of things. You got to answer all the questions. What about this? What about that? There's some brilliant ideas that come out from crowdsourcing. Brilliant ideas. Suggestions that come in from one person, and you kind of go, wait a minute, why didn't I think of that? And that's the beauty of crowdsourcing. You come very close to having the ideal pack as much as possible. Then there's questions about fabrics and what have you not. Everyone's asking, can you make the packs in this fabric? Yeah, but we wanted to bracket the price points for the evades, not to go over specific. The idea is to give best value. If you're going to pay $1 for a product that we produce, it's going to be the best dollar you spend. It's as simple as that. Anything more than that is just going to be questionable. But we are never always right. It's a constant learning process. And after doing this for what? Product development, man, 30 over years, I'm still learning from everyone.
Well, I found that the Evade is such a feature-rich bag, right? Like there's not much missing from it. You've got the 2 water bottle pockets, the admin panel on the front, and the Velcro that can come out of the admin panel if you don't want that in there. There's just so many features to it. And you mentioned, you can only do about 70% of what people really want. But it seems a lot higher than that, in my opinion. What are some features for the Evade that you ended up not including? Because I can't think of any that are not included in it.
Let me think for a second. It's hard being old because I tend to forget more than I can remember, actually. Let's see. The beaver tail, that was a bit of a challenge. We had to figure that one out, but we included that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I gotta be honest. Adam, I can't remember much. In fact, what someone wanted or the group wanted. Maybe an individual or two who wanted something that I couldn't include, but in general, the group was agreeable on it. I'm thinking about the concealed carry compartment. That was a bit of a challenge because half the group wanted it, the other half did not want it. And we had to go through the process of whether it's going to, how much of a difference it's going to be if we included the CCW compartment. But I have to remind everyone, the CCW compartment is, where are you now? It's in New York City, I assume. Are you in New York City?
Indianapolis, Indiana.
Okay. Sorry. So if for example, if you're in New York City, you can't be carrying concealed. But there are other things that you can carry inside that. You can put a folder. You could have an evade light and put a folder of paperwork, your important paperwork in that compartment. I've seen variations of the evade being used by government services where they put, selected items in that compartment. So that was one of the things. You can never satisfy the EDC crowd because there's always a need for more places to put pouches. Always, right? I get a kick out of this, right? Everybody says, well, you got to add another compartment so we can include this pouch and that pouch. Oh, but the evade could be a little too heavy. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, okay, so the evade is a little heavy, and then you put about 16,000 pouches inside. So it's I don't exactly know what the final process is going to be, but there was a requirement for additional pockets. There was even discussions about the quick access pouch on the top of the evade. They wanted it to be lined differently. I mean, smaller things here and there. But in general, I can't really think of a major design requirement that was asked for that we did not hit on the evades.
Yeah, there's just so many features on that thing. And I was surprised on the concealed compartment. I was just, reaching my hand through there, and I noticed there's a D-ring at the top, which I didn't even realize just from reading the description on the website. But there's a D-ring, so you can do attachments at the top back there.
What are the uses for the D-rings apart from the obvious? So I carry one of the Matroskaya clip pouches. I carry a small one with a single hanger that has all my US dollars and foreign currencies in it, right? So at any given time, some countries of the world, I hate to say this, is they will rifle through your backpack, and if they see cash, it becomes you want to step through the line, you want to cross the line, and I'm not into all the stuff, don't really care for any of the stuff. So what I say is, put it somewhere that you'll never forget, but at the same time, it's safe. I'm sure you've heard stories in the past of how people travel in through war zones and what have you not. They carried diamonds, Let me digress for a second. About 2 months ago, my wife was going through some of my old backpacks, and she found a sachet of small diamonds inside. And I completely forgot about it, right?
Yeah.
But when you're going through some, when I was operating in Africa, for instance, you carried those kind of stuff, or you carried little, I know some people are using gold also, just as a way to when shit hits the fence and you need to get out. That was the old mindset. Yeah, there was also the professionals. There's a reason why they wear the Rolex, because the Rolex watch was that one thing that you got a ticket for you to get out of town, right? So there are uses for that compartment with a little hanger. You can put in a matro with a first aid kit, a basic first aid kit inside there, away from everything else, right? But the only problem with first aid kit, you got to remember, it expires all the time. Just don't leave there for the next 5 years and not realize to change it all out. So there are a lot of good uses to it.
Yeah, I totally agree. So you had all these features to accommodate all these different users that all these requests and things. What are some features on the Evade that are for you, where you're like, man, I want this in here?
I hate to say this, but I'm a little bit more simplified than what the Evade. The Evade is excessively way too much of a backpack personally for me. My usage for the Evade is very, very simple. I carry my MacBook in a bag. I carry a folder. I'm one of those guys who travel around the world with what is known as a carnet. Have you ever heard of it?
A what?
A carnet, C-A-R-N-E-T. It's a passport for all the products that you drag around the world with you. So if you get to a specific country, you show the carnet to them. It's a passport for the product, so they don't charge the duties and taxes on your products, right? So, but when you leave, you have to show that same carnet or passport, and they'll tick it off and says, okay, so you can now leave the country with all the goods. And I travel excessively. We're talking about up to 5 figures worth of gear and all the stuff. So I needed a place to put my MacBook and the carnet. So the back laptop works really well for me because the carnet is a big piece of folder. So all the important documents goes at the back, the MacBook. In the main compartment, I don't use it as much as most people do because, you know, when you are a platinum flyer, you just pack everything inside your check-in luggage. You really don't want to carry as much as possible. You want to go through any of the airports as fast as possible, get to where you want to be, and that's it. So I usually carry my travel accessories, you know, either my neck rolls, my headsets, and whatever not. But you know, I use the mesh pockets basically for the stuff I need to grab, you know, like snacks and whatever not. But yeah, I'm really, you know, even though the Evade 1.9 comes from Alpha, the Alpha 1.9 produces the Evade. As the owner of Alpha 1.9, I'm really a minimal user of the Evade because I travel with very, very compared to everybody else. I'm an amateur, really.
Okay. Well, I also have the Recon 3, and love how just simple and elemental that bag is. You know, sometimes you just have a few things you're taking with you, and it's so light and small. It's just perfect for that kind of small, you know, short travel to work or whatever.
Adam, I'm glad to hear that you actually like the Recon 3 because it's very difficult. The Recon 3 was not a product that was developed for our friends on TPP. It's not. It really, I mean, some of them do. There are quite a number of them who bought it, but it's not the kind of backpack that everyone's looking for. It's really, you know, it was created for my friends back in New York City, right? Yeah. They carry the iPad. They carry very minimal stuff, right? They don't need a lunchbox in any manner or form. There's always delis around the corner. They just want to have a simple backpack that they could carry and sling. Now, I'll tell you where the inspiration for the Recon 3 came from. Back in the early 1990s when I was living in New York, so I sold bags back in the early 1990s. I worked for a company called Barney's New York. My first job in New York City when I migrated there, I sold Armani accessories. And then I slowly got into Tumi. Tumi was produced in the US at that time, yeah? Yeah. It was a brand that everyone's like, wait, how do you spell that brand? And this is like 1990. But I was so impressed. So everything I bought was 2 brands. Tumi, and there's another leather brand out of Connecticut. It's called Gurkha. Have you ever heard of them?
Yeah.
Right, so Gurkha was another leather company that was up and coming. Now, if you have a Gurkha and the serial number is very low, you can basically hawk it on eBay for more money than what you paid for it. It's a collector's item. Okay. So, you know, during those times, there was another Japanese designer. So the Japanese mafia took over the Parisian fashion scene at that time. There was Kenzo Yoji Yamamoto, who still designs for Adidas Y3 right now, and you can see all his bags and whatnot, and Matsuda. One of the designers, Kenzo, had a bag that was very eerily similar to the A3. I mean, you know, we took some license of the designs right there, but it was the base of the inspiration. I tried looking for that backpack again after all these years, scouring all the secondhand markets if anybody had a Kenzo backpack. It was unique. It was made out of Japanese denim, and the base and the top was a British leather. It was beautiful. It was incredibly beautiful, and it was simple, and that's where the Recon 3 came from. I wanted something as simple as that. There's one opening, but of course, you know, in those days, you don't have iPads and, you know, all the electronic devices, so we wanted to make sure there's access for, you know, your Metro card on top, you know, if your Subway card, your iPad, and everything else inside there. So yeah, I use that when I'm traveling, and I get to doesn't matter if it's Singapore or Hong Kong or Taipei or Tokyo, that's the one pack that I carry. It's light. The bigger the pack, the more you carry, the heavier it gets. I don't want to haul 20 pounds from 9 to 9. So the Recon 3 was perfect.
Right. So you've got the Recon 3, you got the Chio, which is just kind of a sling over your shoulder. You've got the Evade, which is really the main product I would see for A119. But what about the future? Like what other products are you exploring right now?
You know, I'm toying with designs, talking to a lot of folks. You know, I'm still getting ideas. You know, I may not say a lot on the forums when I'm on the groups, but I'm reading through it all the time to see what everyone is moaning and groaning and happy about. I kind of, you know, I've got my little black book and I'm writing things down. Okay, nobody wants this. Memo to myself, do not include this in any future backpacks or bags, right? So pros and cons. I'm reading through this whole thing. I even make time to go to some of my, listen, you got to give us, Alpha 19er will never be the best brand out there. We know that for a fact. There are a lot of other good brands have been around. I have the utmost respect goes to the likes of Tom Bean. He's been around since Moses was around. Great stuff. And I like to read the reviews on the forum, on his side, or wherever anyone's talking about it, kind of learn from all that stuff, and then says, okay, if I get into, if I do get into another crowdsource, hey, what about the idea that's being used in this bag? Is this something we should be considering? So all that is going back and forth to the next pack, which is the Pathfinder. The Pathfinder is extremely behind. It was supposed to be launched last year, was the 40th anniversary of my my old military regiment, and the regiment included Pathfinders inside. So we wanted to release it then, but the Evade just came in and took everything. I mean, it just captured all the production, and I could produce 400, get it to the US, last week, and I'm struggling because I now have to put in another production. I mean, we got smart over it because we just got it, but before it even arrived here, we already had a second production going on because the demand for the Evade 1.5 specifically, and now the 2.0 is getting, you know, is out of the blue. Everyone's texting and emailing me and asking me, says, when are you going to redo the 2.0? So the Pathfinder, poor bastard was right behind me, looking at me every single day. He says, hey man, when am I gonna get my chance? So I actually travel with the Pathfinder. It's a much more simpler pack compared to the Evade. One of the reasons why the Pathfinder was being delayed is also my bad. I mean, I just, if I'm not 100% happy about something, I don't want to put it out. And I'm just toying and toying. I went from one bag harness to another bag harness, back to the first one. And every now and then, you know, someone will come out, my wife, for instance, hey, you got to remember what Steve Jobs said about the iPhone. It doesn't have to be 100%, just get it out, right? So that will be the next slot. We're going to do that. It's going to be we're going to do the Pathfinder. Will be on the next production queue. And I do have one more pack that I'm working on right now. I'm hoping to get it out by realistically Q4 of this year. Very simplified pack, 15, 20 liters max. And it's going to be at a very competitive price point. Let's put it that way. Just something for the masses. Anybody who wants a second pack, you just, I just want something a little bit simpler. Something that I would use without carrying everything else, right? So it might work for some of our guys, might not work for everyone, but put it out, we'll see what happens.
How will that compare to the Recon 3, which is already, you know, a nice, small, simple pack, very low price point?
Much simplified compared to Recon 3, no, sorry. Recon 3 is pretty simplified. It's going to have more accessories than the Recon 3. Okay. I'm looking at body shapes and patterns, for instance, because there's so many different styles right now. You can see that the current style is a one based on what Arc'teryx and Mystery Wrench is using, where the zipper goes to the top and it comes together, right? That look, something like this, right? The zipper comes up and looks around. So this is this is me toying around with another iteration. This is a Pathfinder, but using Dyneema fabric.
Okay.
One big exception, I took the back of the the evade started with that harness. The harness came from the Pathfinder. It was the development of the harness on the Pathfinder that went to the evade 1.5 and 2.0. So I wanted to make a pack that's going to be lighter, but at the same time with a decent, not as heavy as or thick of a back harness and pack like the evade. So we created something a little bit more simpler, right? So
Okay.
I'm testing it all out just to get a feel for what's going to get what, and then we'll put it out. But the pack that I hope to get out for Q4, it's not going to be as complicated as the EVA 1.5, I guarantee you that, but it's going to be more than the Recon 3.
Well, that's great. We'll look forward to that. And do you know any of the timelines of what you might be looking at for those?
I'm hoping to get the Pathfinder out in limited. You know how I do things, man. I do everything limited production, just limited production.
Yeah.
Because once again, I don't have to meet any minimum requirements for anybody's factory, right? Here's a shout out to all our guys. Anybody who's going to visit Vietnam, which is a great place, I highly recommend when the time comes, when this COVID-19 stuff is subsided and there are rumors that international travel is done for the year. I hope not. But because a lot of the Asian countries are doing a better job than we are. So if we do get a chance, if the world as we know it opens up for international travel when it's safe, if anyone hasn't visited Vietnam, it's a hell of a place to visit. Everybody is there. Let me digress. Nothing cooler than going to the U.S., United States business community dinner and drinks for one night and meeting the whole design crew from Solomon right there, because they moved it.
Yeah.
They were in China and they moved there. So you get to meet all these people.
Yeah.
I mean, on the last time I was there, I was at the airport and I looked at this girl who was sitting across the sofa from me, and I look at her and says, man, she's got to be in the fashion industry. So I said, okay, I can talk shop fashion anyway. So I reached across and say, hey, are you in the fashion industry? And she started laughing. She said, I work for Patagonia. So that's really where it is. And you have factories that will open up lunchtime, just before lunch or after lunch, when everybody is about to take off lunch or coming back from lunch. Like Judah is a good example. You can do a complete factory tour, right? So it all depends. The problem is these factories are now well busy, and if you have to produce with them, it's just so difficult because you really have to take a number and stay in line. With us, we can do, say, 100 and test the market and get a feel for it. And if it works, all right, let's ramp it up right now. Or people might come back and say, man, this just sucks. And if it sucks, shelve it. That's basically it. So far, touch wood, we've been pretty lucky. Everything that we've been putting out has worked, but it has worked for one good reason. It's crowdsourced, right? So when you're asking me, Helmie, to design a pack, you might not be as successful as what you're seeing in the EVATE series.
So you've got an interesting background. You've got experience you've been in the military, you've been in the fashion industry. Can you talk a little bit about how those past careers have informed some of your decisions for designing bags in the future?
I think backpacks, without thinking much about it, has been in everybody's life since we were kids. You're not going to school carrying a backpack and all the stuff. So it's nothing new to a lot of us. In the military, I got to be honest, I was so focused on getting the job done for my regiment, I didn't really think about gear and all the stuff. Really, no interest in gear, absolutely no interest. So a quick story of how I ended up in New York City and being in the fashion industry. So I chose to go to school in Milan, Italy, right? Nothing to do with the fashion industry, absolutely zero. But I got lucky with a couple of modeling work here and there, but that was not what I was looking forward to. I just wanted to get my degree and move on with life. But my Italian sucked. It was so bad that I almost flunked out of school. So one wise professor came up to me and says, dude, listen, man, your Italian sucks. You should go to an English-speaking school. And I said, what is the one city in the world I haven't been to? New York City. So in the late 80s, I arrived in New York City, could not get a job anywhere except for schlepping scuba diving tanks at Columbia University every single day at 3 o'clock in the morning because I was a dive master. And then one day I got so tired of it, I walked across the street. I went to Bunny's, New York. At that time, it was on 17th and 7th. Everybody shopped there. Everybody who's who on the list shopped at Barney's, New York. And I went for an interview, and she said, "Oh, former military officer, boring, boring, boring." And then she says, "Lived in Milan." And she says, "Oh my God, you got to be in the fashion industry, right?" And boom, I got my first job selling Armani accessories. I had no idea. Oh, I knew who Armani was. You know, met him once in Milan back in 87, 88. Don't even know anything about saying, but I had some of the best mentors in the fashion industry at Barney's, New York, and just kind of learned from that, and then moved on to a slew of brands. I could go on and on with all the brands I sold. And then from there, I moved on to Bergdorf Goodman, what is considered the #1 store in the country. And oddly enough, I've never mentioned this before, but I helped launch Dolce & Gabbana, women's wear, out of Bergdorf, and then Karl Lagerfeld. Then one day I got a call from Donna Karen's assistant. And I ended up working at 240 West 40, DKNY, working no more women's wear, no retail, not retail, not wholesale, product development. So I credit DKNY for giving me an insight into what product development was. So you basically had to deal with everything: shoes, apparel, scarves, belts, jewelry, the whole kit and caboodle. And that really opened up my eyes. So by the time we launched our own design and development studio in New York City downtown in '96, we really knew what product development was. But it's granted, it was not the backpack here, not backpacks. And then 2001 came, and if you never met a refugee from September 11, I'm one of them. My wife, who's from Springfield, Virginia, decided she's done with the city. Are you staying or are you coming? I packed my bags, showed up in Virginia. I think one thing led to another. I decided to go back into competitive shooting. I looked at everybody's bags and I said, man, we can do a better job than this. And that was it. We started designing range bags, weapons cases, which we still do until today. It's still probably one of our biggest sellers for the government at the moment is our weapons cases. And along the lines, people come in and they said, hey, Canada has got a tender and they're looking for a 3-day backpack. Okay, call that company up in the Northeast in Connecticut. They do frames. They do frames for a lot of the military packs, right? So we bought the frames from them. We made our own packs. We put it in, and boom, we got a contract from the Canadian Defense Forces at the time, going back about 10, 12, 15 years ago. And it just went from one to one. People started calling you up and said, hey, can you develop a backpack for this specific requirement? And you just kept going. And so by the time Alpha 19er got around the corner in 2013 or 14, we really had a past performance. We know what we were going to get ourselves into, right? So it's just, let's put it this way. When Alpha 19er started, we didn't have a rocky road ahead of us. It was pretty smooth because we really had thousands upon thousands of stuff. I was among the first few Americans, and in fact, I was among the first 5 Americans that arrived in Vietnam in 1998, right? 4 guys from Citibank and the schmuck called Helmie. I could not figure out what was what, but I sensed someone who came from product development and fashion industry. I could sense this is going to be the next big thing. However, I can tell you, selling anything that was made in Vietnam in the early 2000s was an uphill challenge because of the U.S. history with Vietnam, right? Very difficult. I say, hey, these products are great. It's got to be American made. I said, well, it's American fabrics and materials, but it's made in Vietnam. So it took me a long time. I was one of the first few, proponents to push. I say, hey, I'm not going to compete with anyone in that genre. If you're looking for something US made, there's a lot of great companies out there. This is what I do. This is where it's produced. And this is what I'm offering at this price point. Let's look at the Eve 8. How many Eve 8s have we gotten back in the last warranty returns since we started this? I can't remember. Less than what I can count on one hand. screw-ups in shipping because I shipped the wrong ripstop versus 500D. Yes, yeah, we get that all the time. I just got one last night, but never a warranty repair. Let's put it in perspective, yeah? Alpha 19er is just a company in the US. Our development is here. The people who help us develop are here, but the production is overseas. When you have a warranty issue, you don't want to have to fool around with repairs stateside. So when you produce that backpack, or the product, or anything that you manufacture, you want to manufacture with one thing in mind. It has to be produced in such a way that warranty returns is not something you want to be worried about. It's got to be almost close to perfection, right? So you never have to worry about a warranty return stateside. And so far, we've been lucky, I guess, so far, right? So we've been lucky. We had one issue, got to be honest, last week. I have no idea how that happened. It was a full investigation across the production studio, but we so far we've been lucky, thankfully.
Well, I think it's a really quality product, man. You've done a great job with it. And appreciate your time with us today. You know, one last question. When it comes to product development and running this company, Alpha 19er on this side, what have you enjoyed the most about that process?
I think the correspondence, talking to people. Yeah. You know, when I was in the fashion industry, I met an Italian tailor, an American Italian tailor who had retired from Norman Hilton, a very famous American suit brand. He was the foreman for 25 years, retired, opened up his own shop, and he's basically a suit manufacturer to the stars. Let's put it this way. And I asked Rocco and says, Rocco, why are you still doing this? I mean, what is it about it that you enjoy so much? He says, just meeting people. He says, look at me. At my age, I'm still learning, because by the time you think that you've learned you know too much, you should just retire in life. I mean, because it's going to get boring for you. For me, even at my age right now, I'm learning so much from everyone, listening to the chats. Like I said, I don't participate as much as I should, only because of the fact that I know myself, the moment I get involved in one chat, oh, it's going to go on and on. But it's the learning process and the people that you meet. I've met some real characters on EDCF and TPP that would consider good friends anytime at all. And then just being able to hear people talk about your products. I had a text from someone last night and says, man, I just got my backpack, and he just went on and on and on. And I showed my wife, you see, this is what we work for. Feedbacks. Yeah. It makes the world, it really makes your day. And that really is it.
That's great, man. Well, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. And man, I just appreciate the work you're doing. Keep up the good work.
Anytime, brother. And thank you for bringing me on, man. I know you have a choice of people to talk to. So thank you.
All right. Well, take care. Thanks, Helmie. Thanks so much for watching the video today. Check out my review of the Alpha 19er Evade 1.5. Link to that below. And if you liked the video, please click the like button and subscribe to the channel to check out all of our future reviews. Thanks. Take care.